and Daniel Rodriguez. Stu Mitchell is going to try to join us on Zoom, as is Rob.
Yeah, he just came on.
Okay, perfect. And AJ will be absent, and I think that covers everyone.
So I'll grab President McLean.
Oh,
Excuse.
see, thank you. And also, and Daniel Rodriguez. Stu Mitchell is going to try to join us on Zoom. Okay, like to move to adopt the agenda.
I make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, announcements. Does anyone have announcements? Okay, I have one, just very brief one. Just wanted to say that in response to some members' concerns over the compliance letters that are being sent out, we wanted to assure you that the increased focus on compliance is not meant to be punitive, but is a direct response to members wanting the association to address violations of our rules, regulations, and bylaws. In addition, we want you to know that the first letter from our compliance manager is a warning, it is not a fine. This increased attention to compliance will ensure that our community remains a safe, welcoming, and harmonious place for everyone to enjoy. Please know that we will do our best to handle any reported violations thoughtfully and promptly, and will continue to work with our members on a case-by-case basis. Thank you for your understanding and for being a valued member of our community. So no other announcements. Okay, then we move to property owner comments.
I'm Joe Peep. I was here 2 weeks ago, Grandview Lane. Spoke and to try to save the big water tank up there after what's happening down in Southern California. I since went to a board meeting for the Whatcom Water and Sewer District, talked to them, talked to the district engineer several times, and I've come to agree with them that you really can't save that tank. It's taking $2.7 million. They have to redo it, and there's some property owners that are close by that are worried about the thing washing down the hill, and knocking out their kids or whatever. But in the process, I found several things. They were talking about the seismic risks to the old tank, and the new ones are smaller. Basically, we had a little bit less than half the water that's in that tank at the moment. And they model, I was curious about what the seismic modeling they were using. It's 9.0. It's rather surprising. I thought they were going to say, 5.0 for like 2 minutes. I didn't find out the duration, although today I put in a call to Wilson Engineering, and I was kind of vectored back and got a call back from the same engineer that I talked to, Mr. Nichols, at he's the district engineer that they see for the water. 2 tanks that are building up there right now are tall and thin. There's an area at the bottom of them known as it's a dead zone. I wasn't quite sure what that was, but that's water you can't really pump out, can't really use over time. And they have between the 2 tanks 8,800 gallons. They're basically going to be dead in these 2 tanks. I asked them what the dead area was in the old 1,000,000-gallon tank. He said 19 feet. And I said, you gotta be kidding, that's half the tank. And so that's the reality of that thing. That water basically would never be available to us. In order to even save the tank, it's got to be totally refurbished, put 7 foot high, 3 foot wide cement circle around it. It's gone. I understand. The calculations they use for fire water here in an emergency is put out the Whatcom County Coordinated Water System Plan Regional Supplement Requirements. And that is for basically for those 2 tanks, 45,000 gallons to fight fire. And that equates to 750 gallons for 60 minutes. So you got a big fire in one house, you can fight it for an hour. 2 houses, you got 30 minutes. Break it down. 20 houses, each person gets 3 minutes of water. That to me is just not enough, even though there's some supplemental connected with that. I think we should get involved with this because as I found out in Labor Day 3 years ago, when they had the fire down in Morning Beach, there's nobody here to help us, no helicopters, nothing that was going to burn. I think we were going to burn up here because everything was down south when the fires as they should be. So my concern was after that, what happens now with these new tanks? they have these emergency, I was calling them blowout preventers, but they're connected to the shake alert. You got P waves, S waves, doesn't really matter, but they're gonna get a signal that's gonna close the valves on these new tanks in the event of shake. And boom, we're cut off from our water. If we get a 9-0, we're all on deep blue basis, Paul Newman likes to say, but my concern was, how then do we reacquire our water? If we've got fire, if fire is broken out, gas lines are broken, all of a sudden we need to have water immediately, it's shut down permanently, does somebody have to have a key, the code? He said, well, the valve, you're gonna be able to physically get to it, but I think we all need to look into how we're gonna reacquire this water in the event of emergency. Get there, okay, my 3 minutes is up, but there's a lot more about, the last thing, you're picking somebody to go to the water, like Whatcom water group and stuff like that, there's a lot of things you should know. Personally, I think this phosphorus recapture is Whatcom long-term, and we need to have a big come to Jesus moment with how we approach this lake for water quality and how we protect ourselves. Thanks a lot.
Thank
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you,
You
Joe.
bet. Good luck to us all.
Yes.
Who else want to come up?
Anyone else in the audience like to make a statement?
We're just.
Yeah, Brian.
Couple quick comments.
Give your name and address.
My name is Brian Burke, 48 Denver Drive. I'm known to some of you as the guy who's been trying to figure out what to do about the invasive water lilies in Lake Louise. I put in with help some volunteers about 70 hours last year, and we learned a lot. So I wrote up a 24-page report, kind of summarizing that. I had some printer issues. I have a single copy of that in here, but I also brought in 4 flash drives with the same report on it, so you could have staff or yourselves print it out. I also put in just some 4-page, 15 copies, 4 pages of bullet points from that report. It'll give you some idea of 3 things. One, sections on the lake environment, the history, the geography, all that stuff. Second one is what we did in 2024, how it worked. And the third chapter or section is on proposals for 2025, which may or may not involve the association. That's huge. In summary, the lilies started getting pretty bad between 2015 and 2018, and unfortunately, that was kind of the time of troubles. And the SPCA was sort of dysfunctional from what I can gather. And then that was followed by 2020 with COVID, which certainly put everything aside as well. But here we are, it's time to move on. And the board has, and the SPCA has responsibility, as they say, to conserve assets and amenities. That lake is a great amenity. And if you're going to spend a lot of money on the marina or on the barns or other facilities, you need to consider that lake. And the reason why is there was pretty serious collapse of habitat this last spring. And the duck reproduction was way down. I only counted 13 mallards and 0 wood ducks of our year-round residents, which is way, way less than it should be. And I think that's because, simply put, they don't have a habitat anymore. It's been completely, during breeding season, it's been 100% overrun by the lilies. So the second point is, based on what we pulled out in the area we worked on in 2024, roughly 500 tons a year of these lilies are going to die off in the fall, sink to the bottom, and rot. That's a lot. If you imagine throwing 500 tons of hay in the entire area from 4 to 10 feet deep, that's what you're talking about. So eventually, all the shallow water is going to fill in with rotting vegetable matter. In the South Coast, it's already getting close to that anyway. So my point is, if the board wants to do something, it's time to get busy. And I'm happy to discuss this at any time. I urge you to make copies of the full report and read through it and send me questions on that. The bullet points, I just wrote my email at the bottom. That was kind of a rescue move after I had big printer problems. Anyway, if Sun Valley Association wants to take a role, then we need to start talking about having meetings with legal people and staff.
Record 3 minutes, but
Okay.
if you want to give me that information, I can scan an email out to the rest of the board.
Here.
And we will touch base.
Yeah.
No,
maybe
appreciate your
it's-
effort. Yeah, no, it's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's
Thank you for your effort. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
The main thing, and it'll only take a second. is I think we need to get going in the water by mid-May. Some of the staff has the idea to put it off till July or August when the plants are big. The report will convince you that that's completely backwards. That means we would have to get recruiting volunteers in mid-April, which means we have to make a decision about whether it's going to happen at all in time for the Sun Valley News publication deadline, which is late March. So feel free to contact me anytime. I'm happy to meet anywhere, anytime with you or the staff.
All right, so you'll pass that off to me and I'll be in touch as we have them.
Thank you very much, Brian.
Thank you, Brian,
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Sure, thanks for the time.
Okay,
Yeah. I'm gonna scan that.
Yeah, the flash drive should be pretty obvious. There's just one cover page and then the rest of the report.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Too bad. Well, I have a, okay. Mike, you just wanna read the state drive and you can send that? Save me.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brian.
If anybody wants a paper copy of them.
Yeah, just send an email on all of us, it'd be great.
How big?
Yeah,
Anyone else want to make any comments?
Just real briefly, I read an article in the Science magazine this morning that H5N1 bird flu hits a certain population of fowl. And it hasn't hit the duck population until just recently. It's now mutated to an H5N9 and is attacking the duck populations as well.
let's do that. Okay, moving on to number 4, approval of minutes. Did you wanted this?
Did you want to find out, Tom?
No, he just wants a copy, so, okay, this is.
Thank you.
Okay. I would like to make a motion to approve the January 13 minutes.
123.
January, yeah, 123-25 minutes.
Second,
All in favor?
right?
Okay, moving on to number 5, reports. Michael, you've got your January report.
Thank you, Madam Vice President, or Madam President tonight. We'll start on page 5. I won't go line by line. I do want to highlight, though, we'll come back to the information on what the spend is so far in the bond section. Capital projects, we do have some significant projects coming up in the next month for the finance committee to look at. I've gotten those to the side and today. So those capital projects coming up include certainly the road planning for this year. We have culverts coming up as well. The bank stabilization project over here next to the community gardens is I was looking at that as well with Tyler and with Greg Wadden. So capital projects coming, the bridge design that we have been waiting on is still in the process. The HVAC design and permitting that is for the clubhouse that again, we're waiting for that permit to be issued. Third care fencing, you see we've got the section fence repaired, privacy panel still needs to go in there. And then again, below that, I have listed 5 or more of the capital projects that are coming up for February and March. So the third care projects you can see here, we've got a couple of areas, the golf cart path improvements. Greg and Kevin are working on getting those areas measured and prioritizing the ones that are going to, give us the most bang for the buck. Golf course bathrooms, Ray and Mike and his team are going to be generating those quotes. The turf care building renovation, that is pending the permitting. The Lake Weaves pump station upgrade, we're going to close that project now, it is completed. And then we're examining whether or not we need to upgrade the turf care water tank. Again, we've got a tight window for any major work, and if we modify that, of course, we're gonna have to deal with the stormwater retention probably construct a new way to catch those, because in addition to stormwater, that has program products in it, right? From washing down your vehicles, so. Barring 8, the siding project, the structural portion of that, the project is on hold until the board, we do make that decision going forward. The turf gear dump trailer, to get champ cop in the yard, it's the only bright green piece of equipment out there. And I'll tell you what, this thing is a monster. It can lift a load that you wouldn't believe.
So I driving down Whatcom Boulevard and they delivered it.
Yeah, it's, they're really appreciative. They're gonna be using it here pretty shortly. You'll see trimming of these, trees along the ball hole over here. We've got a chipper out there. Those trees now have grown out. If you go up and stand on the tee and take a look. So we'll be doing that work internally, right? And his team, you'll see them, they're gonna get a haircut along that edge. They're gonna look a little woody for the first year, but we gotta get those trimmed. They're overgrown, they're too closely planted together. So when you see them out there, you know, give them a thumbs up. There's a lot of tough work chipping all that. And there's a lot of trees along there. The activity summary here, I'll let the board, of course, if you will stipulate these, I won't go line by line through them, but my first 2 months are just coming up, and I am starting to get a little bit of turning the fire hose down to a garden hose. I came back from, I had an echocardiogram today, which is fascinating technology if you're looking at it. But I came back at 2:30 and I had all my email cleared before I went to one. And then I came back and had 22 morning. So
You're popular.
I am, and I appreciate it, folks. Keep those kind of letters coming. But Madam President, if you'll stipulate, and the board will stipulate to the remainder of the report, it is there, and of course, for the owners as well on the website.
Yeah, that's posted on the website as well.
It is.
That's great, thank you. So moving on to 5B storm recovery update. And do we have a final update, or are we still kind of working with that?
Well, I will come back to page 5 there. Now, this is actually about 2 weeks old. We still have an additional approximately $15,000. So our total spend if we segregate barn cyclone, our total spend now is at about 320,000. So we're at the end of that. I don't anticipate we'll have any more barn cyclone related trees. We do, however, have 100,000 in the budget for normal hazard trees. Joel Heatherly and I did a little bit of a deep dive last night, and we will have some data for the board at the next board meeting where I think it's good news, where it looks like the year-end financials are going to be such that, and I don't hold me to it, but I'll wait till we get to it. We may not need to levy a special assessment for rock cycling. We may have sufficient revenues over expenses when he closes out the years where we can handle that 370,000 that the board allocated at the December 12th meeting. So don't hold me to it yet, but it looked like good news last night. So that's always a good thing. If we are, going to pull the pin on the S word, right, the special assessment here, I'd rather reserve that for something big like barn 8. Right?
Yeah.
But Madam President of the board, if there are any questions, I think we'll have more detail for you on the financial status of the next meeting.
Okay.
Yes.
I hope that Joel can do the breakdown of not just the overall, how much we spent, but what costs have been paid out of CERT and what costs have been paid out of roads. I know I signed another large check to just the other day.
Yeah.
So that's directly related to that. A question that I do have though, is in your report, third little bullet down under notes says, not all tree requests are hazard trees. So if they're not, and we're taking trees down, what account are we taking the money out of to pay for those?
Yeah, that note, Mike Ross put in there, it applies to 2022, 23, and 24. Excuse me, 22 and 23, you see the asterisk that he has on. 22.
Okay,
The numbers for 24 and 25 are bomb cycle. So you wanted those segregated, but we'll get those, drawn up for you separately, so you look and see how much is served, how much roads.
yeah, cause I can see there was, I think there was like 5,000 or 6,000 between a couple of different tree vendors for trees that have come down, and it's like, some of them are bomb cyclone, some of them, I'm assuming are hazard trees and have to come down and would come out of that budget, because that's the only line item we have for removing trees.
Yeah, well, if they are not related, and as I said there, any further trees that we have to remove on common area property, those are gonna come out of the operating budget.
And the hazards, okay.
Right. That has the 100%.
We have a question from Rob. Rob, go ahead and unmute.
Hi, everybody. Michael, I just want to thank you for your general manager reports there. Lots of good information in there, and there's a lot of detail, so I want to thank you for that. I also want to also extend my appreciation to your staff, because I get the opportunity to relate to them from time to time. And Nicole, I believe her name's Nicole. We had a really nice conversation when we were renewing our slab. So just glad she's on board with us. One request in the future reports is, would it be possible from time to time to get just sort of a staffing report? We have so many, we have so many staffing positions, and do we have any openings? Can you hear me very well, Michael? I see you. Yeah, if we could maybe just kind of look at staffing levels from time to time, I think that would be good. Thank you.
Okay, if there's no more questions, then we can move on. We've moved the committee reports, committee updates. I know we did them last time, but we looked at the fact that in the second part of the month, we have Joel giving us the financial information, so it kind of made sense to move it to the first meeting of the month. So we're starting it this month, and I know there may not be a lot of updates from the committees, but whatever you do have, if you could just provide that. So we're gonna start with the ACC, Ben.
Yeah, nothing earth shattering. We did have a very long meeting last time, because a lot of developers were trying to get applications in before the 2025 policies took effect. So we're seeing a lot of new constructions and resubmissions from our last meeting, because we have a lot of people down the setbacks and things like that. So it's been a very busy last couple of meetings. And also I'm back on target meeting with the GM every other week to stay along with what we're doing, as we did with Joanne. So it's really nice to have that time to be able to talk about bigger picture. And we are working with our compliance to meet with us for our tours on Tuesdays, and that's very, very helpful. If he really puts the applications together, so he knows more about it than anybody else. So we appreciate this time.
Awesome, thank you. Next is document review.
Haven't done any activity yet. It's just the new ACC rules went in. It was something we looked at last year, and I still need to get a member volunteer to join the committee before I really can conduct business, because otherwise it's just I, me, and myself. We are only a committee of 3. I may reach out to the volunteer that joined us last year and see if she'd be interested in serving again this year, but that's all we've done.
Thank you, Linda. Next is finance committee.
Yeah, so, since I have become treasurer, we have not had a finance committee meeting. We will be meeting next week and, like, we'll bring a report.
Thank you. Long range planning, right?
We've had two meetings. And I've added a few members to our committee, and added, asked for a blessing on one more when we get down to that section 7D tonight. We got a group of some experienced guys, some engineers even, and we have done kind of like, we put it out in the paper, we go to the front page and the view, and we're asking the community, instead of going with a bunch of surveys and a bunch of twisted questions, we said like this, just put it out there. We want to hear from the community. Our job at long range is to come up with, you know, even immediate plans and also 3-year, 5-year, and 10-year. And there really is a lot. Some of it's laid out for maintenance, but there's some big questions and there's more ideas out there, I'm sure, from the community. We had one come in for electric charge for charging cars, and great idea. And one of the motives behind that was to bring more golfers from Seattle and drive an hour and a half in a fancy electric car, charge it up and play 18 and drive home. So yeah, my question is like, I think we should charge for the charge. Who knows, we'll get there. But there's lots of stuff. The stuff that's hit is really relevant. It is like real, and I think that it's our job as long range and talk with you and stuff that, you know, what's on the board right now in the whole community, and it's been derailed all the time and lots of inspection is Barn 8. And like Barn 8, there's lots of issues and lots of costs, and we'll talk about some of that later. And that there was also, we had approval, you know, back to build the pavilion where Barn 6 is now. If the pavilion went in, Barn 6 would come down. So we're taking it to another level of giving some more options to bring to the board. It might take us some time, but we'll try to get some really good detailed stuff. At the same time, we're trying to put stuff in that possible could bring some revenue in, just like, hey, maybe we cover the swimming pool. Hey, what would that be for the valley? A pool that's covered year round. We need revenue. So, I mean, we're trying to give lots of options for the community. So it's long term. And the people that are on there, they're long term. They love Sun Valley. They want to be here a long time. So we're taking it serious. I think it's going to take us a little bit of time to get real numbers. So we're going this new buffer zone, and we're going to deal with it. You know, 150 feet from the river, it's 200 feet. You know, we're looking at that. So give us some time, give us some blessing, and we will give lots of options for Barn 6 and Barn 8. And we have 2 subcommittees, and we're getting it hard on Monday.
You had any response to your ad in the paper, your article in the paper? Have you had any emails coming in?
I have not seen any as of yet. We're gonna answer every one of them, so I hope we get some. Rick's helping me on that. They go directly to Rick and I's email. He's vice chair of long range committee. Rick's got to be in on everything. He's the finance guy too, so I mean, we got some inside. We got the stack with experience on long range. There's some people who know stuff.
Let's encourage lots of people to write in and keep you guys busy.
Yeah.
Yes, I hope to.
Great.
I did get one that said that we should grow tulips here and make some money. With the leftover, I mean, I think you. I don't think they were
As long as
serious.
the deer don't eat them.
Yeah.
Okay, Rob, N&E, what have you got for us?
Good evening, everyone. So the N&E committee, we met for the first time in January. We welcomed our newest members. In our discussions, we emphasized the need to communicate with the community through all of our available electronic and printed means. Also in January, Michael and I had a highly productive initial Zoom meeting to request a contract proposal with Unilect. Based on input from several of our fellow directors and community members, we requested that Unilect provide a proposed contract that would incorporate hybrid voting as a process. And this process would allow members to choose between the traditional paper ballot system, which has been in place for quite some time here, or an electronic voting option. Unilect has extensive experience in managing these hybrid voting systems, using and serving organizations with large memberships, ensuring a smooth and secure process. So we had a follow-up meeting with Unilect to further discuss and ensure that our requirements are met in this hybrid approach. More information and a deeper discussion will definitely take place when there's a contract proposal and it's ready for board review and discussion. Moving forward, our committee meetings will continue to be held on the last Monday of each month at 6:30. And I do have Linda, I have a hard copy that I'll scan and send to you for the minutes if you need it with this report. The idea of electronic voting has been something that I think N&E's been talked about for some years, and our goal is to start moving forward towards that. Depending on whatever happens in the proposal, we can have more discussion about it. We definitely want to ensure that all of our requirements, our bylaws, the N&E manual, any state laws are met, excuse me. So looking forward to more discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. And last but not least, safety committee.
Yes, our safety committee had a meeting in January, and we had a very good and productive meeting. Tom's our vice chair. We have several things in the planning. We've got working on a fireway program in May. That'll include some other emergency preparation sorts of things. We're looking at water safety. It's been observed that several of the voting folks don't have the necessary light preservers as required by, I think, state law. And so there's a program where we can procure some light preservers if we develop a place to hang them and loan them out. So we're looking into that, what's going to be involved with that. And we're also looking at the bus stop safety areas, trying to develop safer areas, especially where there's a larger number of school kids running in that. So looking at what sort of things we can do to help make those bus stops safer for the kids. And then we're looking, we became aware of a previous emergency preparedness plan that was developed in the late 90s. It kind of got left behind. So there's been some concern about being adequately prepared for various types of emergencies. And so we're going to take a look at that and see if there's something we can kind of pull out of that to maybe work in concert with the folks who will really be in charge if there's a major emergency like fire and repairs and county emergency, all that sort of thing. So we got a lot of good people on the committee. I'm going to after requesting a new member, we'll get to that point in the agenda, but if anybody has any other ideas about things that maybe the safety committee can take a look at, let us know, and we'll have to take a look at it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And we also were talking about the importance of getting our AM radio station back up and running again.
Yeah.
There will be a spot for it in the new fire station, but not for a while.
Oh, that's good to know.
That was really well.
Do we know when that fire station is going to be up and running? You heard it?
Tom's suggestion was probably going to be by the end of
next year. 26.
Oh, another year.
Wow.
What did they do with them?
Cool.
Those are sprinklers.
No, it's I think they decided to do an interior remodel.
Yeah, and I thought held up because of the remodel.
Wow.
Wow,
End of next year?
Yeah.
that's a long time.
Whoa.
That's
Yeah.
disappointing.
I think they got their permitting and so now they're going and looking at designs and architects and that's. And then you have to go through bid, you know, the process.
Yeah.
But it's a shame, because it's been over a year.
And then also I was informing Rick yesterday that in mid-January, I got kind of blindsided. With my aunt's estate. And I've met with a couple of estate attorneys so far. And it looks like I'm not gonna be able to afford to hire attorneys to do this work, I'm gonna have to do it myself, and it's gonna keep me busy, it's gonna be hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month. To try to audit her estate. So I just don't know how much time I'm gonna have. I'm gonna be very busy.
Well, I'm sorry to hear
The
that.
cat's trying to help me separate papers and it's just.
It's a really good at that.
It's a mess.
Oh, that's too bad. Okay, moving on to continuing business. We set up our short-term rental task force last meeting, but now we need to appoint a couple directors. So, is there anybody who's like, Daniel, are you still interested?
Yes.
So I nominate Daniel to be one of the directors. Any-
I need a chair and a second.
Okay,
Well,
so
I'll
you
second
can,
that.
all right, so you,
No,
okay, so all in favor of Daniel being the chair of the SGR task force?
That was.
Okay, now we need that, weren't you? Anybody else interested? I'll do it if nobody else wants it. You wanna do it? Oh, that'd be great. Okay. All in favor of Lori? Okay, perfect. So we have our two directors on the SGR task force. Thank you to both of you.
I think there's already a list, I think that Timmy kind of has of people that are interested in serving and for you to, you know, for people, now that you can reach out to them, I'm sure Timmy can give you the list.
I think it's with staff, but Michael, if you could just ask staff, if you didn't mind, just to have, all the volunteers. What I asked them along the way was to put in, a volunteer request for a committee, but not check off anything and just physically write in, like type in, like that they want to be on the STR. So if someone has that somewhere, they can forward it to Daniel.
Sure.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
because they all have to be vetted.
Yes.
Yeah, and I had given, a lot of background information, we had on the same subject from Suncadia and
Yeah.
from Lake Elmer Country Club, so. You don't have to, it's a good read, it'll tell you what legally you can do, whatever you want to do.
And Brenda has a bunch of information too for Washington State, so I'm sure you'll get lots of information, both of you.
And, yeah, we wanted to be sure to have a balanced representation, right?
Yeah, both sides.
The pros and the cons or whatever.
Yeah.
I've got the data about coming for you, the record like we did.
Okay, next thing is the Lake Whatcom 6B Lake Whatcom Policy Group Director Representative Appointment. And Rick, I know it's between you and Keith, did you guys decide or
Yeah, I think just between Keith and Rick.
and Rick? Did either one of you decide which one that you wanted to do that?
I'm okay doing that, I thought.
He was gonna give.
Was that?
Yeah, Keith just says,
I
he just
know.
said something needed to go. So Rick,
Okay.
you're going.
So, okay,
you
I
are
nominate Rick for
representative.
that position. All in favor of Rick being our representative? For the Lake Whatcom Policy Group,
Mhm.
awesome. You went again, Rick?
It's an important one.
It is, and then 8C, I'm gonna hand this a little bit over to the LRPC with Rick and Ray. We had the barn 8 discussion, and I believe that was to ask LRPC to take on looking at what is best to do between barn 8 and barn 6. So do you, how do we want to write that motion? I started with move that the board task the LRPC to, and that's as far as I got here. Look
To
in,
ask the LRPC. Let's see, ask LRPC to look at the best to do between barns 8 and barn 6, or what's the best,
look at what is the best.
what is the best to do?
Or options.
Best option.
You won't describe what's the best and provide
Option.
options.
Yeah,
Between
barn 8 and barn 6.
And it's not
barn
necessarily
and,
one or the other, it's probably more the, which comes first.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
and barn 6 and report to us within 90 days. Is that,
you can do that.
Yeah.
We probably try to keep that for 30 days, in 60 days.
Yeah, well,
Let's give you, I'd rather give you 90 and have you come back in 60 and
Yeah,
it'd
that'd
be a
be
big
great.
surprise.
okay,
Okay,
so I move
it's
that.
doable.
I move that the board task the LRPC to look at what best option. Okay, I missed something. Look at what is the best option between barn 8 and barn 6 and report to the board within 90 days.
Second,
Just provide options for barn 8 and barn 6, not best, take best down.
Okay. Is to provide options with or between.
Or both, options for
Okay,
barn 8
between-
and barn 6.
Okay, so I move that the board task the LRPC to look at what options. And sorry. Move the board task the LRPC to look at what options
Are available.
Are- available between barn 8 and barn 6 and report to us within 90 days.
There you
I'll be looking for second,
go. Okay,
Okay, all in favor? All right. Thank you, we'll be looking forward to that report. Okay, the next thing we have is the free community events policy. Which is page 15. We usually have a really nice motion, but I guess I'll have to do a motion. I move that the board approve the proposed policy 2025.01 free community events policy.
second.
Okay, discussion? Anyone have any comments? Anyone have any
Would the-
objections to it? Anybody have changes?
Would the library be part of the community if they were to have a meeting in one of these spaces that
They'd have to be members, because the way it's written, it's from members.
the
Unless
library
there's,
is not a member?
No, they're really not, they're a separate entity,
but they, a lot of their,
but they can come to the board, and if they have a free event that there isn't room for in the, well, they have before, they have come to us and they have asked to have an event in the barns, and that's still an open,
As long as everybody's invited.
yes, and as long as it's free, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so then.
Yep.
yeah, no one's making any money on it.
Yeah,
Yeah, and really the intent of this was so that it doesn't have to come to the board whenever somebody wants to do a free event. They, the GM, I did do up a new form, which I guess either didn't forward to you or didn't get it.
Yeah, I have that, and
Okay, I didn't, okay, I did a separate form so that if they want to apply for a free event, they don't use the normal form. They use one that specifically says they're applying for a free event, and they have to explain how it benefits the community, and Michael would have to approve it before it goes to staff.
and we check availability.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, once you
You go
approve it,
through
goes
the
down,
office to do that.
yes,
or
To
online,
the jail.
it should be up online once if you approve it.
Yeah, it's an online fillable form. Thank you for doing the work. I had Kyle and I maybe.
Yeah, there was a couple things I just couldn't do. I was trying to bring some other things, but, any other questions, comments? Anyone?
Secular events, what does that, how do you determine?
Non-religious of any kind.
I mean, so the church come and do a free event? even
Well,
they're
if they're just-
advertising?
If they're doing a movie, a kid's movie, that's secular. If they're going to do a Bible study, it's religious.
they sometimes do movie nights, I think they're limited to 4 a year. I think like 1 a quarter if they decide to, if they find something and there's interest here and there's availability. That they can then do that, it's just, I think in their contract, it stipulates that they pay a portion of their current lease agreement for rent. If they hold that, it's not really free. It's part of their, if you're talking about the CTK in particular, there's a stipulation in their contract with us.
Part of the idea we were discussing was, a lot of times when they put on a free event, it's a lot of effort on their part. Sometimes they're paying some licensing fees and movie, which goes on the plate. So they can demonstrate, how much they're putting into it and how much value it's going to provide to the community. I think it makes us all feel a little bit better about.
Yeah.
Movie's a good example because it costs Sun Valley $1,000 to put on a free movie, whereas they already have a license, they can put it on for free, so that's $1,000 benefit to Sun Valley. So we lose $200, probably a little bit ahead. So, okay, any other comments? Okay, all in favor?
Of approving this community events policy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard a second.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, Sun Valley Safe Cycling Contract, okay, that's back to LRPC.
Rick or Ray?
Who wants to put that one forward? I believe. Right?
Yeah, so we had, the Sun Valley Safe Cycling Group do a presentation. They're all Sun Valley folks, they're very organized, and they're proposing to do a pump track and, but big question is whether Whatcom County, will allow us to do that here. And location is the big deal, because we do have water in some of the locations that we're proposing to possibly do it, so. We need to give the cycling group the authority to go to Whatcom County in representing Sun Valley, because we own the property, to see if it even is feasible to even be talking about it anymore, if they will allow it. Because otherwise we'll be doing lots of circles and lots of stuff, we're doing nothing, but. They do have some contacts down there, and they're open for just an open meeting with Whatcom County, if they can, represent our property. You see what we do, see what they say, and if they say, then we will come back, and there'll be a proposal to the board, and then they'll talk about dollars and go forward. Yeah, they'd be granted. Right now, the concept would be presented to Whatcom County, is all the ordinance that was. The safe cycle. To do.
So I have a motion for
Ooh,
Okay.
yes.
All right, perfect.
Okay, so, the SBCA Long Range Planning Committee recommends Sun Valley Safe Cycling consult with the various county jurisdictions needed for approval to build a pump track on SBCA property and report back to the board of directors with the timeline, cost projection, and funding sources to complete the project. The board of directors will have a final decision on when the project is approved and moved forward.
Second,
Any?
Yeah, it sounds to me like they really can't represent Sun Valley. No, they're not, they're exploring on behalf of Sun Valley. Yeah,
So
like
you keep
they represent.
Oh, sorry, my verbiage, I mean. They need our permission to talk about our land.
Yeah, I think the pump track's a great idea. Yeah, I don't think I had represented.
We can't make any decisions or anything, just to be able to, so if Whatcom County says, does the board approve of you doing this? They can go, yeah.
you know, all the sites are on our property.
If I may offer the word fact finding, I think it's the, may capture what we were looking to do, not make executive decisions of any kind,
Yeah.
simply gathering information. So that y'all can make an informed decision.
Make all the backline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we change it, or are we good with the way it's worded? I don't care.
Well, I'm just wondering how Whatcom County would take a group that's not really representing Sun Valley, point in there and represent, now I think a director should be. They can represent Sun Valley. I don't want to miss that.
But we're giving
So
them.
they're all
authority to
members.
talk.
They're all members of it, they all
Live here.
live.
But if you'd like to volunteer to do the board, I'm sure they.
Okay, well, I'm not altering either, so all in favor,
No, let's give it a shot.
all right, we're good,
Good.
it's unanimous.
Copies of that, please.
Sure. I will.
You worked hard on that motion.
I was gonna say, and it will save me from
Next to
looking up the translation.
Good verbiage.
Okay, all right, we are getting close to, okay, we got 7C, 25 Sun Valley Drive, mitigation property transfer agreement.
Read the request memo or.
You can read the beginning of it and then I'll read the motion, we don't need to read the whole thing, probably, but.
For the board members who haven't had a chance to review it again, this is a property request where we're asking the board to approve the general manager to accept lot 61 division 16, 25 Sun Valley Drive as an off-site mitigation area lot and to execute the real property transfer agreement that's been drawn up. So this is a mitigation lot where the owner purchased the lot to build a single family residence. The lot's next to a drainage ditch, wetland. The owner mitigated the effects to the buffer and installed various wetland enhancements on that lot. And the owner then purchased a second lot, which is the one we're talking about, lot 61, division 16, be dedicated as green space. The owner already placed a lot of conservation easement in Whatcom County. Has been working with SBCA since 2021 to finalize this request to accept the title to the lot as a compensatory mitigation area. And in the meantime, the owner didn't pay an assessment, so we took him to small claims court and we're getting ready to take it to small claims court. This will solve a couple things. According to the agreement, which is also attached to the board, they will pay all the back assessments and 2 years assessments, as well as the recorded costs.
Excellent.
All right, thank you, Michael.
And then SBCA will drop the small claims case, which is due to go on the 3rd of March here. Pretty good.
So they purchased another property To build that or to,
to mitigate.
okay,
The county had them mitigate because the property that they built on required the wetland mitigation.
so that they already built it.
Correct, they already
It's
built
two
that.
different lots.
Yeah,
The lot they built on was on Harbor View.
yeah, and the one we're accepting is not a building lot, we're building.
It's been surveyed and there's not, you know, they actually did a survey before this was put together. They have somebody come out and look at the trees, see if there's a big thing, because once we take the lot, it then will, because it's, the county has already listed it as a mitigation lot. It can never be built on,
And we'll own
So
and we'll own it.
we'll own it, we'll no longer collect assessment.
We'll probably have to pay taxes on it, but it's real easy to. I would think since the county's already said it's a mitigation lot, to get them to forgive the taxes.
it, and we grow tulips on.
Hey.
You really want
Sounds like a
to.
plan to me.
Cover it.
Shade mowing too, no.
Move that the board of directors approve the general manager to accept lot 61, division 16, 25 Sutton Valley Drive as an off-site mitigation area lot following the execution of the attached real property transfer agreement.
Second,
Any more discussion? All in favor? Okay, moving on to 7D, I guess we have two committee appointments. Ray, you have someone else for RPC?
Yes, a gentleman, on gate 13, Shad Avery. Young man, who decided to ask for him to be on.
Is he the one that was visited?
He has been to a meeting to see how it operates and thinks that he could,
Liked what he saw?
like, he was very excited. Yeah.
has he been vetted, right?
He has been vetted. yes.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, Michael, for doing that.
all right, all in favor of Chad, oh, sorry, Tom, oh, you're all in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, we're all, okay, all in favor.
You gotta watch him something.
I thought you had a question about, Okay.
You need this spelling?
I think it's Chad, as I'm assuming, CHAD, and then Avery is AVERY.
That is correct.
Okay.
That's why we even asked him.
and we have
No, you're.
another volunteer for safety committee, right?
Yes, we do, thank you. I'd like to recommend the board approve Daniel Harris to serve on the safety committee. He's been vetted. He's a fireman, an EMT, a paramedic, and has experience working with certain. I think would be good.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Okay, all in favor of Daniel Harris?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay,
Excellent.
now, last but not least, 7E, Stable Lane driveway access easement approval amendment.
If you'd like me to paraphrase,
Okay,
again, this is, the request of 5 owners on Stable Lane, lot 10, lot 18, lot 19, lot 20.
Good, you like?
Lot 21 and 20.
Thank you, guys.
what cookie?
Okay.
All right.
I'm ready.
Thank you, guys.
In this case, the 5 owners are requesting that the board approve the form of the easement, which has been drawn up now by CSD, which will then encumber all 5 lots under an easement. So we're asking 2 motions that the board approve the form of the easement, authorize the GM to execute it on behalf of SDCA. And I'll let the board president read the motions. And it will also allow us to inform the property owners that we approve of their request to install and maintain a driveway surface in there for access to their lots with the caveat that it is approved by Whatcom County, the maintenance manager, and that all costs and future costs for maintenance are handled by the homeowner. So The analysis and history are in there. The one owner who we were able to find and executed the easement on, Ms. Carter at 65. She's the one who spearheaded this over the last 2 years. So, I appreciate her work on that, and I appreciate the board, taking a look at this and considering their request.
Okay, so motion, I move that the board of directors approve the form of the easement and authorize the general manager to execute on behalf of SVCA if and only if all 5 owners can benefit from the easement and are properly signed and notarized.
Second,
I actually have a question. Unless somebody else has one for.
no, word,
I wasn't at the last meeting, but my understanding was there have to be easements in place. But from what I'm seeing, there's only one easement, so I'm wondering why this is going to this stage.
Correct. So what, CSD and I have researched. And there 65, Stable Lane did have an exterior easement in 1998. All of the other 4 homes were built before that. And we cannot find any easement. So, CSD is opined that if, at the very worst case here, adverse possession will probably take place here. Right, 3 of the homes are built such that the only way they can get into their home is coming down that. Because the backside of the hill, the homes are facing this way, not Stable Lane.
Okay.
So there were no recorded easements that we could find. Now those homes were built probably in the late 70s and 80s.
there's 2 that were built in 1972. And if you read the original easement request, it refers to the predecessor of Sudden Valley. Well, the only predecessor to Sudden Valley that could have given permission for those homes to be built here would have been Sandway. Nobody else. So somebody, when they were first selling off lots, because 2 of these homes were built in 1972. And basically, somebody at that time, and they don't name them, that's what's so bizarre, asked that they be allowed to use that for 2 homes. Just in that area, 2 homes to use the park for ingress and egress. The thing, and and I'm glad to see that we have continued it, is the revocable easement. It's not irrevocable, where it means that we give it up forever and ever. And it says that should we decide that something happens, that we need the park, they have to take out the road and they have to get access through Stable Lane, which I don't understand why all of those houses don't have access to Stable Lane as it is. But that's the way it was. I looked, because it kept saying predecessor, I'm going, what's a predecessor to Sudden Valley? But that's what it is. It would have been Sandwick or somebody that was selling lots. There were banks out here that were selling lots and stuff, but they still would have gone to Sandwick to get the permission. They're the people that planted this. So it's just, that's kind of the history, but I know that's kind of where we're at, but I'm glad to see that we've continued with the revocable easement. That it isn't just gonna be granted to them forever and ever.
Any other questions or comments? Rick?
So I kind of agree with Michael that, their continued use over a period of, years now.
Yeah.
That it's gonna be pretty hard to revoke it. I'm curious at what the address is of it's.
One is 67 Stable Lane.
No, I can see what
Okay.
you say. I'm curious that, the address is Stable Lane on the house doesn't base Stable Lane.
Yeah,
The other question I had is, in this orange diagram, the access is off of Stable Lane or is it off of Sudden Valley Drive? It looks like there's a keyway driveway on 67B.
Yeah, it's only off Stable Lane, directors, that's like.
So, is that's not a driveway there?
No, he has the keyway on his lot there.
Yeah.
But
it's weird that he didn't use it. It's
his
so
house
close.
is built such that that'd be his backyard. we driving over back around there. Yeah, I drove up there and my truck barely goes down that road. It needs to be improved.
Yeah. So that's all.
Some discussion? All right, all in favor?
What date is it?
Three,
Okay.
Thank you.
Second, I move to authorize the GM to inform the property owners that SBCA approves their request to install and maintain the driveway surface gravel filled grid system following execution by all 5 owners of the easement form agreement and recording easement form agreement consents. The plans, materials, and methods must be reviewed and approved by the SBCA maintenance manager. All county recording expenses and future costs for installing and maintaining the driveway will be paid by the owners who will benefit from this project.
So should that be the manager or ACC?
Mainly. There's no aesthetic, component to this, it's a impermeable, surface that they lay and we fill it with rock. So.
So is that gonna change the percent of, I mean, impermeable surfaces in terms of?
No, I'm sorry, it is a permeable surface, excuse me, that's all the point. It's a honeycomb pour-in.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, they set it, they have to grade it flat, they set it down, then they fill it with the filter. And rainwater goes right through it.
So the dirt, right?
They'll probably fill it with that 3/8 crushed rock.
Because on our long-range planning committee, one of the engineers said compacted gravel is considered impervious.
Yes, I believe that in this case, it's entirely porous. Yeah, if you look at the road right now, you can tell what's washed out right
I
now.
understand what it was, I didn't want to do it, I'm just.
Yeah,
I hear what Rick's saying though, and you have created a non-permeable surface if the grid is filled with really fine gravel.
it's filled with rock, but we can find out for the board, the whole purpose of this, it's engineered to be a porous surface. So,
Very nice.
if there's concerns about that, you want
Well, I
some type
thought
of testing or.
I would think it would depend on how hard it's compacted.
Yeah, it depends on how they're compacted.
If you get something with fines on it, it turns into semi.
What do you want? What do you want? Very well.
I know, but I'm saying, we don't know what they're using.
So it's gonna be driven over?
Yeah,
Instead of driveway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be pretty competitive.
It's,
Eventually.
folks, I've seen this, they use it at, over Issaquah Islands. And it's an excellent service. And I've watched it in the pouring rain, and you don't even need gutters. It just goes right through.
I guess if it qualifies as permeable, that's the bottom line.
Yeah, that is the design, but if the board, whatever board's budget, you let me know. And I'll-
Michael, do you know if they need permitting from the county? Does anybody here know if they need permitting from the county? For this, it's clearly over 500 feet.
I would think contractor installed.
We, the terms of this do require them to have all.
The permitting, oh, I remember reading that, yeah.
So, yeah.
All county
The
recording
county should have to wait.
expenses.
Yeah, this
They have
is,
to
that's all
report
part
it
of
to the county.
yeah, this is the first step. So I was
Okay.
hoping that the motion would try to cover all of the bases. So if not, feel free to modify the motion and all.
No, if it's in the terms and conditions, I thought now that you mentioned that. Inspection, maintenance, improvement, repair. Who could read?
And that's why I made the motion so long.
No, it looks good.
Okay, first we need a second before we do anything else.
I'll second.
Okay, Tom will.
You, right? So does it state permeable and.
It
It
just
says
says
gravel-filled
gravel
system.
filled grid system.
And then it does have to check with the county. Oh, it says here, in the request, they propose to pay for and install,
But that's not in the
drive-
agreement,
no,
that's in
it's-
the description.
that is,
I'm looking for the.
it says 100% permeable.
That is not in the
No,
agreement.
I read,
Yeah.
so we can
It's
add,
not in the agreement. Oh, yeah.
it's in their request. So, and maintain the driveway surface gravel fill grid system as long as it's 100% permeable, which is 100% permeable, add that in, after grid system.
Well,
How much of the property is actually covered?
It's never been
well, it's not
determined.
in their actual law, but I'm just. concerned that it's really- I don't know.
Yeah, it's an excellent system. I wish you could see it.
Yeah, no.
I'm gonna try to follow your decision, that's already.
Well, but it states in the contract that it has to be in compliance with SPCA's Architectural Control Committee policies, including but not limited to issuance of ACC approval prior to commencement of any improvement. So they'll have to come before ACC.
Okay, there you go.
So I'm hoping that, and that's actually under part 2, section 2. B on 31.
Top of page.
Okay,
Planning board's got a question.
Lauren?
Just a question, on the map, the part that's orange, is that the total
That's the whole park area.
that's going, right, but are they going to gravel or surface in the whole area or just a roadway, you mean?
Yeah, it seems
Part
like
of
we
the-
need to do that big triangle.
Yeah, would they be doing that whole big triangle?
Just down to their driveway, if you see that orange triangle, there's actually the road. The road is only about 12.
Right, so if
12
the
feet
roadway
wide.
just kind of continues, so not all that orange triangle is gonna be filled in.
Correct. Just
No, there'll
two
still be
areas.
part of the park area there.
Right, so if you take all of our park, which extends to wherever, does a park that is owned by Sun Valley only extend to the end of the, where the orange is, or does it continue on further into those other areas?
On the way down off the pavement, where we're.
Okay, so the amount that they're covering is probably within the guidelines of the amount that can be non-pervious. If they're not covering so many square feet of the, or percentage of the full amount.
Parkland or. Whatever, considered park, right, I mean. In its current state, but it, and only probably less than half of that triangle. That's what it is.
Correct, yeah.
And that whole lot next to it is
Unless they
green
take that
space,
apart.
that square lot next to
Yeah, with the
67
green
feet.
space, and
Yeah.
that's part of it.
Right.
So that's,
Yeah, so there you go.
Yes.
Yeah, driveways.
we still have this,
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
this, this all the way down. The amount that they're going to take is whatever is very minor.
I think what it was meant to be, some of this that goes all the way down, is it's like, this was supposed to be water trails.
And it still can, it's
Yeah,
just
still
whatever
can, they
is
still
parked
can.
on the paved.
Yeah.
You know, and it's still be able to walk the trail.
It's a good plan.
I mean, you don't want to see our,
We're not-
you don't want to prohibit someone from access to their residence. I think that's the main objective we should be making, is making sure that they have access in and out in emergency vehicles. We're so up on safety, if emergency vehicles can't get into their houses.
Yeah, and then what, you know, and that's a question nobody's asked, but it's, they assume responsibility for selecting this.
But we don't wanna do it, we don't wanna say no to them to prohibit them from making
Yeah.
their residences accessible and safe.
Well, it sounds like part of it's already gravel anyway, they're just trying to make it a better system.
A better
so the
system.
Gravel doesn't wash away.
Yeah.
Right now it's washing away, now they want even more from, so I don't think it's.
I have no issue with it.
Yeah, I think we got.
Ready for,
We'll certainly scrutinize it myself, I'm sure Daniel and Mike Brown.
alright. So any other comments? All right, all in favor? Okay, unanimous. And we are adjourned at, it's surprising, 8:15 P.M.
Fantastic.
That has got to be a record.
Way to go, finally, yes.
It's all.
Good night, everybody. Good night, everyone.
And I want to thank Alan for.
Yeah, thank you,
Yes.
Alan.
Yeah, we go around.
Yes, thank you, Alan.
No, we did try to find me the other day, so I'm not sure about that one.
Thank you all. It was good
Little help
meeting you.
through here.
It was a good meeting.